My name is Woody Landeros.
And I'm Joseph Landeros.
You're listening to the Landeros Brothers, where we talk about.
Communication through art.
I like how it sounds all structured.
Yeah. Roll to the
Well,
intro.
you're supposed to say, like, just roll the intro.
All right.
Okay, let's do it. Today's topic is Legalize Banksy. And who we're talking about is obviously Banksy, and he is a street artist. He's in England, right? An England-based street artist.
Yes.
So this is Joseph's topic, right? You chose this topic for this week. Why did you choose this topic?
Well, recently I've been getting more involved and more interested in the world of street art altogether. I think it's quite fascinating that while the world can revolve around such controversy, there are just so many different sides of the story. Like in this case, you can either see it as vandalizing or you could see it as being a form of art. What I like to keep in mind is that people such as Taki 183, Kid Olt, Keith Haring, and even my father have participated in this thing we call graffiti.
Whoa, we just said it. We just said it on the podcast. Yeah, and it's seriously like that's what got me into it, honestly, with just seeing how like we have old photos of our father, like. Okay, so let's take it back a little bit. So my name is Woody, obviously. My dad's street name is Woody. So that's kind of how the name even became a possibility.
Right.
So just street art, I feel like, is just embedded in like all of us and all of our like just the kids. And it came a lot later for me. Like I started doing it then and there, and really at that time it was, I would say, a bit more vandalism or just being a bit more destructive because I didn't know how to handle my emotions as an artist.
Yeah.
And I officially started doing it when it was in like 2010, before like I got completely caught and fined for everything. And then after that, I pretty much like I created gold kills out of it, because I got suspended, fined, and I was out of high school for like a week or 2 weeks. I think they gave me
luck.
Yeah, out of luck, pretty much. Like they caught me, and then I got fined a $1,500 fine.
Yeah.
And then gold kills came out of that, so I don't regret any bit of it.
Yeah, I think
I wish I would have closed my eyes and enjoyed the moment a little more.
that's funny. Well, I'm sure you're always on the move,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to know what you're doing in that moment. You're kind
Yeah.
of thinking about this like kind of like a legacy type of thing.
Yeah.
Just hitting up and doing a bunch of throw ups.
But-
But I think we're like glamorizing it because it's been embedded in sort of what we've seen with pictures and all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even my dad to this day, he'll still write my mom's name on a piece of paper, and he could do it pretty spotless. Like his box letters and stuff like that are just super clean. And even my uncle Alex has always been really into sketching and stuff. And even if it's maybe not the best eye candy to some people, that's his art,
I feel like it's like a whole bag of culture just like being passed along like a baton or something.
Right.
It just feels, I don't know, I feel like it really switched for me going from like vandalism to art when I realized that it was like completely vandalism after like going to go work in apartments, repainting graffiti that other people did. I mean, I was in San Bernardino working just for like, for my dad and fixing up like the apartments. And I mean, just knowing that, we had to pay so much to be able to repaint these, it kind of really hit home for me, and it felt like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. So that's when it really like turned around for me. And then now I see it more of like an artistic endeavor, and I could do it like on a wood board that I buy, or on a canvas that I buy,
Right.
or even on paper.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, I don't know, it just, I think just changing your perspective on when you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just to put things more in perspective, and just as reference, the penalty for graffiti in California is for a first-time conviction of a misdemeanor, it's up to 364 days in county jail, and $1,000 fine, or even both. And it pretty much just increases as the damages increase. And as you pass $10,000, they can just round it up to 50 grand. Like
Yeah.
the way that they are able to try you because of this thing we call vandalism or graffiti is pretty crazy. But I think that it's, for the most part, kept people in place.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
there's still
it's
street crews out there and stuff, but
I've
I know a lot of people who
I,
say that things like, "Oh my gosh, like it's just there's so much fear embedded because it's a pretty serious stuff."
Yeah, well, I think you can hear the hesitation in my voice going back and forth. Like it's really fun, but don't do it. It's like
Yeah.
this and that. Like let's go, and then but let's not. And like I think that comes from just. I mean, I was doing that before I turned 18, so I wasn't gonna get those type of fines.
Yeah.
I got 1,500, and then I was supposed to be expelled, but I got suspended instead after talking to the principal, and it was just like. I was really afraid of all that. And then when I hit 18 and I realized all that stuff could happen, then that's when I was like, I'm just going to make graphic t-shirts. I'm just going to make people's websites. I'm going to express myself in other ways. And like it really does scare the hell out of you, and you really do have to be like in this like vandal mindset or whatever, they call it vandal. But for Banksy it was really like his thing, he's a street artist. And then they title him also as a vandal and political activist, and then also a film director, which is so many different things. I mean, I think whenever you're an artist, you kind of like, jump around and try different things, but it's really confusing trying to separate like, is that person a vandal or an artist? You know what I mean? Because you can do what looks like vandalism in a museum, and then the whole tone or the whole the tonality of how we speak about it like changes.
Yeah. I think there's been so many artists have already kind of made fun of the whole industry altogether by doing something super easy and carefree and then pretty much like putting a price on it to sort of use that satire against the industry. But Banksy actually began doing art in the early 1990s, or at least as we know, in Bristol, and he was part of this graffiti crew called Dry Breads, or also known as DBZ. And he really started to build up his fame in the 1990s around the area of Bristol, and it apparently, as it is stated by streetartbio.com, by the age of 18, Banksy began to develop stencils after nearly being caught vandalizing public spaces by police. And I don't know if you guys have seen his stencils. You guys should go check it out. But they're pretty intricate. And I would say that with the statements he's trying to make, he really did and does need that type of speed. I mean, imagine you have yourself in the public and you're doing these super mural style pieces. You just have to be able to have that stencil
He
ready.
definitely has a very distinctive like stencil technique when it comes down to it. Yeah. And then also his layering, the way that he's able to layer like gray, white, and black, and then also with the his famous red. And like just having like, I don't know, sometimes like, see, like half of me is like catering to some of the listeners, which is like, don't do graffiti. But the other half is like, sometimes foul language is needed.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes graffiti is needed, especially being a political activist and not using words, using more art. It's like if his artwork were words, he would be cussing at the top of his lungs.
Yeah. I actually enjoy his art altogether because although it may be controversial, as I said in the beginning, I wouldn't say that it favors either one side or the other. I think it pretty much just establishes things that we all don't want to really talk about, but he puts it out there so bluntly that it becomes something public.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying it's something that the whole left or the right may agree with. I'm not going to say that. Like, no one's ever going to agree on one subject entirely, but there are some things, say as in animal cruelty or say human rights altogether with different countries and all, that I think we can all agree on that needs change, and he's able to bring that to public spaces.
If you guys have any chance, these are some of my favorite art pieces from him, just by like scrolling through. Balloon Girl, Mobile Lovers, Bomb Hugger, Spy Booth, Art Buff, And then there's like a bunch more. If you guys look it up, I'm sure you guys have seen Balloon Girl. That's like the stamp.
Yeah, I think it's been used for different organizations as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or for one of his organizations that
Yeah.
he's associated with.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny because at the end of all of this, although we speak about this man with such respect, no one really actually knows who he is. After 20, almost 30 years in the works, or in his resume,
That's crazy.
altogether,
That's mad respect right there.
some people actually think that it's a group because of how many locations he's hit up. No one actually really knows how someone can get away with this.
I'm sure there's copies.
I'm sure. Well, like, what's his name? MF Doom, sending out his little Doom bots to do his performances and stuff, like different replicas to pretty much give the people what they want. He might be kind of taking on that style. But
I could imagine someone would even want to get caught so that they could be titled as him.
Right. Yeah, they were actually speaking about that. I was looking into it on an article, how it's interesting how he's actually taking his art now to social media, and people don't actually know if that's the true Banksy altogether. He has Twitter, he has Instagram, he has Facebook, but we don't even know if it's the true he. So
He could be dead.
he could be dead. It could be
He could
taking
be-
on his legacy.
He could be a woman.
It's like, why would you make a risky move like that to
What if Bansky's
go
a woman?
go to the public? Well, I mean, it could be anyone, as we were saying. But recently, 2017, crazy, 2 years ago. But recently, it feels like 2017 was just yesterday. But he actually had one of his pieces removed. Someone pretty much took it off the wall and sold it for a pretty high amount of money, or high amounts of money. And I think that was in 2013. And by 2017, it is said that he made this painting, but no one really actually knows if it was him. But it quotes, and it has a monkey with a bell on the side of it. It says, "You can rob a bank and get away with 10 grand and serve 8 years, or you could rob a Banksy and get away with 100 grand and serve caviar," which is kind of funny. With his whole name being Banksy, it's funny how as soon as it becomes public, it technically isn't anyone's. But I think there's something involved with the whole pride of graffiti, that if you're gonna write over it, you're gonna like buff it out. But when someone's gonna like chip it off the wall and sell it, I think that really is like ironic.
Explain what buffing is like in graffiti. Well, I mean, just even in painting.
Buffing out is basically when you happen to spray paint over it, like cleaning it. Like when bathrooms and stuff, patching, as you could say.
Yeah.
Or
They're like paint like white over it.
Yeah, white over it or stuff like that. Or altogether, they just remove
Pressure
it.
wash.
Yeah, pressure wash it out and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
I remember doing pieces like I would do a piece, and then the next day you would just see people there with pressure washers taking it
crazy.
out like in
dude, what's
an hour.
insane? It's actually interesting altogether. I keep on saying that word, but what is compelling is how yesterday all the bathrooms were shut down. And it was weird. I literally had to go to the office and I said, "Hey, where a guy like me can use the restroom around here?" And I was just messing around with the guy, and he's like, "Oh, you can go over to this corner over here and ask this lady, and she'll let you inside the bathroom of the teachers." There was no bathrooms open. So that must have meant, A, they're trying to find people who are going to walk to the bathrooms consistently and try and get in there to do pieces, or B, they're pressure washing them out right now. But that was like throughout the whole entire day. And it was actually getting kind of frustrating because no one could use the restroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, just
So-
to kind of talk a little bit about that. So I feel like I could talk about it because I already paid my fine, already worked my hours.
Can't be tried twice.
I paid the price, so I could talk about it because I learned a lot of great lessons out of it. I got a lot of positivity out of it. Honestly, it set my career in the correct path. So, sometimes I feel a little embarrassed about it because if I don't know, I hide it from certain people, like in a work environment, obviously. I'm like, I didn't have stretchers, I didn't tag on the walls, and I wasn't a bad kid. That's what I present to, the work environment. But in all reality, I did have stretchers. I was speeding, but I paid my tickets and I paid my prices, and that's that.
Right.
So when I was in King High School, I used to tag on the walls, and it's kind of like I'm super guilty about it, and that's it. I paid my fines, and what happened is they added cameras after,
They learned their lessons.
yeah. So I found a little spot. I kept on hitting up that spot, and then after a while, I saw a camera there. I was like, oh, hello. That's for me. There's literally one camera. That's for me.
Yeah.
Hello. So, and then I had to try to figure out how to get on the roof and how to try to cover it. But then they really caught me, and then I was out of school, and then I had to, go through, kind of think about everything that I was doing and why I was doing it. And I was really just pissed. I was pissed off at the school and pissed off at everything that was happening, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't have, I guess, that positive of an educational experience. So I couldn't I didn't write about it. I didn't write about it. I didn't speak about it. I didn't have any people to talk about the whole. It was just weird. You don't talk about it. You don't write about it. You don't. You just go and you find something to destroy.
Yeah.
That whole create and destroy. I have a shirt called I have a shirt that's create stuff that you guys can check out on my website, and that's I want to make another shirt that says destroy stuff. Because I think it really goes hand in hand. Like if you're going to be able to create, you have to be able to destroy.
Right.
So and that's how you're going to grow.
Yeah. I think there's something really territorial with street art or graffiti or vandalism, whatever you want to call it. And I think that there are a lot of thrills that come with that. With having property, I guess you could say, having power, having a choice. There's a lot of things that are stripped from us altogether. I'm not going to get too into it or whatever, but sometimes it's nice to be able to just do something for yourself and stand your ground, even if you're going against the system. I mean, this country was built off of rebels, so what can I say? We've had past history with that. What I'm going to guide it back to was I actually forgot. You got anything else?
I have a good thing to say. So us being here is vandalism, but seen as art. I see that, like how you said our whole country was built off of that.
Yeah.
Hispanics coming over here is considered like vandalism, but we are the art piece that comes out of that.
That's funny. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in a sense, like we aren't supposed to technically whatever borderlines be here because of our our great grandparents coming over here, and it was completely illegal, which is vandalism is legal, but then coming out of it is like Banksy, that art piece.
Yeah.
Just everything that we do really is just all based off of that.
Yeah, and just for reference,
rebels.
Banksy has sold one of his pieces that was made in 2007 at a charity auction in New York for $1.87 million. And I think that's not too bad for someone who is spray painting on walls.
Well, how does he even cash that out?
That's
so confusing, because if the cops really wanted to find him, couldn't they just find the wire transfer, or what is he using, like coins or something?
I think he actually works through a group, like a law group,
an organization
that handles
or something.
His brand altogether. Like it's like having an LLC, or that's what it is.
But
right?
you
LLC.
can still find the LLC owner.
Yeah, but he just has a lot of layers to it, I guess. So I guess he just has representatives.
I think if they wanted to really, really.
Well, at this point, it's like an honor to get a piece by him, because like New York is now getting pieces, and now they're able to have pride in saying this is a Banksy piece.
Yeah.
And maybe it's almost planned like by the city.
Yeah, because I could imagine like if
that's weird.
Let's say like a store owner were to get some like random, I would say average Joe, but your name is Joe, so that's always awkward. So like a random person to do to vandalize all over their property, then they're like, oh, what the hell, I don't want this crap on there. But if they got like a Banksy, then it's like people are going to be taking photos. They're going to, their store is going to be all over the place. So like it makes more sense for them to leave it on there.
Yeah.
Which then it becomes like just both vandalism mixing with art.
Right.
That topic all over the internet is so... I keep on saying it because right when you search it up, it's like, is he a vandal or an artist? Or what's the difference between it? Or which ones are which? Is this an art piece and is this vandalization? It's all art.
You know what's crazy?
Honestly,
Now thinking
his
about
whole
it,
existence is vandalism.
is that well, art can be interpreted in all kinds of ways, and we know that just from talking on this show.
Yeah.
This talk show.
Hmm. It's a left or a right field with people's perspective and opinions.
Yeah. Funny.
It's like there's no like center ground. Even when you stand center in your head, you're like I know he's an artist,
right, but
and I applaud him for being a vandal.
yeah. So see, the thing is, what if they're kind of like permission spots? Like, what if the big pieces that he's done have been like legal walls, and from there on, it kind of becomes more like a gift to the individual who is like obtains that wall. What if it really isn't upon the idea of street art anymore? It's more like like murals and stuff like that. Although it is publicly portrayed, what if it's like deeper than that?
Yeah,
Because
other than really like his signature.
it takes a long time
Or
to
his
set up
words.
those stencils and everything. Like I can imagine.
I wonder what type of material he uses
they
for
do
the
some
stencil.
like traffic blocks or something, and just don't let people pass through certain areas.
Because I used to do stencils, but they'd be so difficult because I would use like
Exacto knives.
and then also on like cardboard.
Yeah.
But then it would like bend and it wouldn't come out clean. His stuff is like spotless. He's
Right.
got to be using really good material,
Yeah.
really good spray cans. Like he knows. I mean, he's been doing it for so long. Like he actually, what's dad's year? Like when was he born? 74.
He was born in '74. Yeah.
Banksy was born in 74.
That's weird.
Yeah, they're both 45, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
I
like,
think coming up on 45. I think that's 45.
what if? No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say,
Dad-
what if Dad is Banksy?
Dad was just on a business trip. He went to England.
He's got to go. He's got to go over there too.
Blythe.
Yeah, to Blythe.
No.
Banksy is also like his graffiti. If it even feels weird saying that. His art, his like
It's just connotated really
his
weird.
masterpieces. I'll
Yeah.
just say his masterpieces. It's like they're so like it's like rooted in our history now.
Yeah.
It should be in our history books. And I think like going back to the whole school thing and going to the whole rebellion, I hope that like a teacher is hearing this out there so that they can like really see that like it is art and you can make something out of it and you can like express yourself in different ways and being able to like you could teach kids things through stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like on one end you have like a drug dealer.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can make him a great entrepreneur. Yeah. On one end, you have someone vandalizing property. On the other end, you could have him, organizing like a group of individuals to be able to create art. Like
Right.
there's a lot of positive out of these negatives that, it's just that sort of rebellious side of individuals. And it's that time of their lives that it's like, that's what they're going to do. So if you're like, go for it.
So go on.
If I wish that schools would see, okay, every year for the past freaking 20 years, there has been vandalism in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Why isn't there a class for that? Why isn't there a space for that?
Yeah. Well, I suppose
If it's going to happen,
well,
it's just different. Even when I was doing, okay, so that's a good talk right there.
I'm just trying to like be the opposite person for you.
Even if I had art class too, but when I would do weird things or like vandalistic looking things or weird characters, I had like these characters kind of making fun of the school and stuff and saying certain things and being a little bit, I guess, more political inside of the school environment.
Yeah.
They were like shut down. It was like, why? You shouldn't do that. So then I brought out the textbook and I said, well, this is what art is. And I explained to the art teacher that, yes, I can do it like this. Mm-hmm. And like, if not, then you're in trouble. Like, this is what art class is for. And we went back and forth and we got really frustrated about the same topic. But at the end of the day, like, in the last couple podcasts that we talked about, art is something that like provokes a certain emotion. So I was provoking that emotion in her. I was provoking anger.
Yeah.
So my art worked.
Right.
A lot of other people was like, just put it in the cubby.
Yeah.
It's done. And that's it. but
Yeah.
mine was pissing people off. So I was like, I'm a freaking artist.
Yeah.
So I think there should be a class for it, dude. I think
Like
that there should be
participating in individual thought.
even just like vandalism should be like a class, grabbing like a skateboard, breaking the shit out of it, and then like tagging on it, and then putting another little like wood pieces and like gluing it back together, and then like destroying and creating things, because that's how you're gonna build up like true artists. You go to like those great colleges and stuff, you see all that stuff inside of like their workplace.
Yeah.
You see like a bunch of and you see a lot of more of the structured, pretty little, you know what I mean? Do it right, and don't destroy it. Don't calm yourself down. And that's
Yeah,
not
bro.
that's not what art is there for.
That's for Etsy.
It's not. It's really not what art is there for. I broke one of my canvases one time.
Purpose.
I just purposely popped a hole. I think I had like a metal bar or something. I popped a hole in the center of the canvas and I ripped it down. And she had a long talk with me, my art teacher, and said, "You destroyed something that I purchased this out of my own money, and this is ridiculous." And I said, "This is only the beginning of my art piece." She got so mad, so mad. But I fought all the way until I ended up in the library, in the little like display, and mine was getting the most pictures, and it was getting the most like attention.
Yeah, it's just like tradition. I would say it's just as tradition and evolution battle to the death. I don't know where to go, and I speak.
Damn, quote that.
I made that up actually. I was at the art show the art walk down in Riverside, and I thought of that because we were typing on these typewriters, and there's this man who basically allows everyone to type on these on his own machines. And I was thinking to myself, like, I'm participating in this very traditional thing, but my brain is sort of pushing towards evolving and going in different ways. But I suppose being in that moment really allowed me to understand that. What was I going to say? Perhaps this altogether, the fact that we're speaking about Mr. Banksy or Mrs. Banksy or the Bankskys, perhaps is really just satire altogether or irony. We live in a world where we're so obsessed now with identifying with one specific brand that maybe not being anything and representing more of an idea is better than representing a face, or perhaps, that those different, how do I say it? What was I saying?
Personas or like
I was gonna
individuals or
I was gonna say
icons?
What's the word when it's very
what's the word when it's
financially
inclined?
No. I'm trying to say it.
Statuses?
Materialistic things.
Okay.
Say, something that can last forever, not something that's just a staple for the moment and for, the day. Maybe it's something about a bigger picture. And we don't necessarily need to be so obsessed with being so flashy, and it's just more about making statements.
Yeah. Well, I see Banksy as being a part of more of like a history timeline, as opposed to being just like a one artist. Because he is really like, if you saw the word graffiti and then you zoomed into that word and there would be a bunch of names on there, Banksy would be on there. And just seeing that like you can contribute to that sort of like word or that timeline or even that culture, it's pretty big. It's huge.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to say that with either like vlogs or podcasts or any of the things that I'm doing. That would be like you with boxing. You would like, if you think about boxing and then you think about Joseph Landeros, goal completed.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
That would be sick. And
household name.
Yeah. He really is. Like
growth.
right when you get into graffiti, you type in graffiti and he's gonna pop up.
Right. He's like the gold list or the A-list celebrity.
He's got the black
graffiti.
card in debit and credit cards.
Fire Festival. Here we come.
No, don't even talk about that. We could talk about that next podcast. That's not good. No.
Ready for Fire 2.
Don't even put Fire Festival in next to Banksy.
I haven't watched that yet, and you can't talk.
You gotta watch it. It's probably gonna be our next podcast. But
I like the idea of speaking about these different like underground kind of people, though. I think it's cool. I think, I really want to talk about the unspoken.
Because unless if you're in it,
truths,
like,
yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know about it. You know?
Yeah.
That's also with
That
like
sounds
hip
kind
hop
of
music.
pretentious for some in some sense. Like people are like,
Yeah,
hey, if
yeah,
you're not
but-
in it, bro, like the ultimate hipster meme, like
You see, like, well, well, yeah, I guess
you're
so.
like, you know what? I try so hard not to keep up with mainstream because mainstream is bad. Like
But
we're just trying to inform
King,
the
but tell
people.
King High School, like the high school right next to our house, just say the word crink,
Hmm.
and then see how many people know what that is.
Yeah,
Maybe 5.
probably not even anyone on this podcast.
Maybe less than
right now.
5.
Yeah,
You know, unless if you're listening to this podcast and then now you got to go search up crink.
Yeah.
It's like maybe 5, and probably 6 or 7 because of the principal and them because of me, but maybe 6.
other than that, yeah,
Other than that, you're not gonna know unless you're in it.
it's pretty monitored and pretty controlled.
Yeah. So it's a, what is it called? A subculture?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All these
Art.
subcultures.
Culture? Graffiti? Subculture?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Or
art is
reversed.
there's art
Just
culture,
kidding.
and then I suppose you can say graffiti is subculture. But
Could there be a subculture in a subculture?
yeah, there could be. But at that point, you're really just talking about another subculture because it just keeps going sub.
Sub.
Like for instance, Banksky's actually done like installation pieces, say like with different. He did like the Muppets,
That
and
truck
inside of the
It was a
truck,
nice truck, yeah.
and he did those pieces. So technically speaking, we were kind of steering away from just the idea of spray painting on a wall.
No, he's got a lot of great pieces. You guys got to check out his great pieces. You guys have to always, you guys have to also, or actually, you guys don't have to do nothing. You guys can do whatever the hell you want. No, I'm just kidding.
Just break
There's
your
also another
phone right
thing
now.
that just run, just get out of wherever you're at. No, there's 2 films that he's directed. One of them is Exit Through the Gift Shop, and it's pretty much just behind the scenes of Banksy. I remember seeing that one a little bit, just barely, and then also little clips I think just watching from YouTube. And there's also the Antics, I believe that's how you say it, Antics, Antics Roadshow, and it's famous pranks and acts of activism. Famous
Activism.
pranks and acts of activism.
He was building tongue twisters.
So, yep. And then he also published a book, Wall and Peace. So like this guy's doing his thing. You know what I mean?
As we all should. Do our thing.
And will do our thing. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys aren't subscribed to this podcast on Anchor, Apple iTunes, Spotify, I don't know the other ones, but I'm pretty sure we're on it. If we're not, email me. But go ahead and subscribe because there's a lot of people listening on this that aren't subscribed. I'm watching these analytics, man. Y'all need to subscribe. And then also give us recommendations, give us tips, pointers, whatever. Maybe you guys know more than us. Hopefully you guys do. We would like our viewing base or our listeners to be more educated than us. So, yeah.
Last words. Shout out to the dislike guy. Always keeping it real.
Oh, and then also, wait, who's the Yo,
That's Banksy.
screw the dislike
all-
guy. No. Don't stop it. Screw the dislike guy. There's one
No,
guy
He's the best guy
that
ever, man.
dislikes all of our stuff. I hope this doesn't start something. But this dude, if you're listening, I like you. So you should like me back. And then
So
also,
like 5 dislikes now.
another thing, we were supposed to shout this company out, man. First sponsor,
No Fun Press.
No Fun Press. Shout out to No Fun Press. This would have been perfect to shout them out in the beginning.
Let's talk about them more in the next episode.
Yeah. So thank you, No Fun Press, for the dope merch. And then also just for the funny, meme-ish merchandise that you guys create. Other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Deuces.
See ya.
Later.